Luis asked me to do a little bit of just behind the scenes, what it looks like on the locator's perspective in the field, and then how can we kind of work together as locators and contractors, and just in order to make everything a little bit safer and run smoothly. And so, um, let me get started here. So the title of this is a locator's perspective, what goes on beneath the surface. And so, I'll get going. So what does a locator do? And I'm going to break this down pretty simple. And I don't know if we have any actual locators in here. Just by any chance, is there a way? Can anybody raise their hand if we have any locators out there? Should be a raise hand option. There we go. We got David Williams. Anybody else? Curtis? Cool. So we got some experience in the in on the call here. That's always good to have. So hey, thanks Curtis and David there. So you guys will have maybe be able to bring in even some input from your perspective. I'd love to hear it too as we kind of begin go through the slides here, and that way we can kind of see some other angles other than just mine. Because so our company, Gridhawk, we just locate for Pioneer Telephone. We do telephone only. But my experience, I have gas, electric, cable TV. I mean, just about everything that I've located. And so a little bit about me myself. So I'm an operations manager for Gridhawk here in Oklahoma. Um, I've been working for Gridhawk for, man, probably going on 5, 6 years, something like that. I've been locating since 2016. And so I've seen some things, but there's definitely some people with our crew who have far more experience than I do, much better locators as well. But I'm always looking to learn from other people as well. So David Curtis, I'd be really interested to hear some of your perspective on this. But again, I'm going to dive into this. What does a locator do? This is just very basic stuff. This isn't nothing in depth. This is just a little bit of context to what our locators deal with, and a little bit behind the scenes. So in a very basic form as it is, beginning of how this works out is we receive the 811 ticket. Um, as you can see here, we receive the homeowner or contractor calls in to locate. Our ticketing software will receive that ticket. At that point, we receive the ticket. We route the ticket in our day. That doesn't mean it's going to get done that day. That just means it's kind of routed into the system, and we may get to it the next day. Um, and we need to be able to understand, to read the ticket, and to understand the ticket, the scope as it is, and what needs to be marked, and be able to define what the scope is. And what I mean by scope is just what all entails, what all the property or the ticket calls for. Is it the entire property? Is it the rear of the property? Is it the east side of the property only? That's what we determine, and that kind of determines what needs to be marked. And that the process is kind of the same for every utility, I would say. You once you define the scope, you go and hook up, whether it be electric, phone, or whatever the case may be. Let me I'm gonna lower your hand down here just for a second here, David and Curtis. That way we can have you down there. So going to the next slide here, some tools of the trade. We have, again, this is very basic, receiver and transmitter paint stick, and that's kind of the main thing that we use to get locating. Um, these are the basics you need just to get started. Does anybody know, I guess for David and Curtis, any other locate equipment you guys are aware of that you guys use other than just a typical transmitter and receiver? Or you guys pretty much the same using just transmitter receiver? You guys use any pipe horns or any other? I don't even know what utility you guys. Same, yeah, Curtis, same. Understood. Rochelle, is it Rochelle? Rochelle? I take it you also locator here, Rochelle, is that right? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me pull up the chat so I don't miss anybody's here. But yeah, so transmitter receiver, kind of the same thing. Yeah, David, I wish I had ground penetrating radar. GPR, I mean, man, that would be pretty awesome. We unfortunately do not have that. We do GPSing as a form of locating too, but But the GPR, I don't have any experience with it, but that's just another form of locating. There's pipe inspection cameras. There's hydrovac. Hydrovacing is also a form of locating. You know, you're spotting the line once we mark the line, and that's a way to identify it too. There's Jameson reels, which we use those in Ohio with our gas. When we locate gas up in Ohio, we do Jameson reels on trying to find you know, when you're trying to figure out something it's not doesn't have a wire, doesn't have a way to locate. Um, so there's tons of different methods and ways to locate. Um, Kind of the basic is just the transmitter, and transmitter is the box there on the right, the receiver or the wand on the left. And it's in the very basic way is the transmitter hooks up to the utility, sends a signal down the line, and the receiver picks up the signal. And that's where we're picking up the signal, and then we dot out our path and we mark it out. So, and then of course, understanding the maps and the prints that's located on our computer. Uh, Looks like David's Jameson reel is a great in gas line, and we have that. Yeah, cool. So that's something you got experience with. I myself don't have experience with it, but our company does use them up north with a lot of our gas facilities. So that's something we kind of offer there too. But pretty cool. So, how does a typical day start? Typical day starts routing our tickets, charting the course, and get going. We planning for today began yesterday. We're going through our tickets as the day goes on, and we're kind of routing as we're going too, because there may be tickets that aren't due yet. Maybe we got stuff that's due out further, and we're gonna put those off for the next day. So we're kind of planning as they're going for the next day too. Here at GridHawk, we use what's called a first of day ticket. I'm not sure, USIC, other companies they call it different, but we have what's called a first of day ticket. That's our ticket we plan for the next day, and that's going to be our first ticket we go to. We route, based off positive response. That's the ticket due date. Um, Sometimes we route on depending on the GPS location of the ticket. Maybe we got some tickets closer to us. We're going to knock out all as a whole. And then we have also emergency tickets. That can definitely throw your whole route off and change the course of where you're going. So, different methods and things we use to route our day and to route our tickets. So, just some things to think about there. Where to begin? So, this is just a screen grab I did. This is some tickets we had in 2025 if somebody's bored. Your board may look like this. It may be a little bit lighter. It may be heavier. It may be even more, a lot larger. This is actually to me is a pretty small locate area. I think this person has a bigger area, but I just kind of picked up a kind of a condensed, pocket of tickets. So, I mean, if you're starting, for instance, here, you're starting in Norman. Let's say you live in Norman. Um, and then you're going to kind of route yourself. So you're going to already have an idea of where you're going to go first of day. And so you're going to go, let's say you're going to start at this ticket south of Highway 9. And then maybe these tickets south of those are not due yet. Maybe they're doing a couple days out. So you're going to go to this congested area and just start knocking stuff out. Again, it all kind of depends on what's due. It depends on, like I said, you may be in the middle of your route and you get an emergency, having to go backtrack. And so that always throws a wrench in your plans there. So as a contractor, you can kind of see the board here and see that, hey, your ticket is going to get done somewhere in the mix here. And the idea, the goal is to get them all done before they're due. That way everybody can get to their tickets in a timely fashion and get to working. And so there's no holdups, there's no snags. But there's dozens to look through. There's dozens of things we have to do. And this is something I always say why it's important to have a good contractor locator relationship is, I mean, this is where that really comes into play. If you have a lot of tickets that are coming up due, and it's just not feasible to get them all done on time. That's where you have I mean, I've called many a time a contractor and said, hey man, I'm running a little bit late. Is there any chance you can give me another day? And if you have a good relationship, that's where you'll get an extension for another day. And vice versa. I've had contractors call me and say, "Hey, Noel, is there any way I can get that ticket done a little bit sooner than what it's due? I'd like to go check it out and kind of make plans for what I'm going to need out there." So I mean, I'll go out and I'll go knock a ticket out a lot sooner than what it's due just to help somebody out, so that in return, it's it's kind of a circle there. Luis, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Noel. I know that communication is so important, and you can, as you just said, sometimes you can have the flexibility of waiting an hour or an extra 2 hours if you have a good relationship with that contractor or excavator. Does that also applies for things like a log gate or high vegetation? Sometimes that can be a little bit of a rock in the shoes, right? So is that something that you also encourage to communicate? Hey, the vegetation is high. Can you please let us know?
As far as like, I guess I don't fully understand the question. Does it apply to, you mean like rescheduling the ticket, or what? What? I don't
Yeah,
quite
yeah. If
understand
that
there.
happens, hey, let me know. I'll come back tomorrow once the vegetation is like low, for example, things like that. Was that also something that you try to like have a good communication with the contractors?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all plays into it, you know. The better relationship you have, I think the easier chance you're gonna get to be able to reschedule a ticket. And sometimes, man, you can't, sometimes a contractor, they got, as you all know, everybody here who does contracting work, you can't push the ticket back, and that's understandable. I try to make it to where, we both win. Maybe we're not able to today, maybe the next day we can help to work out so that, we get everything located on time. Obviously, on time is the goal. We want to get everybody's tickets done on time. But I think working together with the locator, getting to know the person in the field, those contractors who calls in tickets a lot more than others, you kind of get to know them better and build a better relationship. So, that relationship, I think, is very important between the two to get things done. And then also any questions, man. If I have questions, I have a trouble ticket, they're the first ones I'm calling. Hey, man, I'm having some issues locating this line. I got the utility company involved. We're trying to figure out where it is, or whatever the case may be, just so nobody's digging before it's fully located. And the last thing I hate is to put a contractor behind. That's some, our goal is to um, have a free flow of locate so they can get to their work on time. So, but yeah, something to think about is just as we're going there. I don't know if that answers your question there, Luis.
No, no, it does. It does. I just wanted, yeah, appreciate
Mhm.
it. Yeah, I just wanted to see how big that channel can be between you and the excavator to maybe change a few things here and there just so you can have the job done eventually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, that's the goal, is to get them done on time, and nobody gets slowed down. But yeah, is anybody, and as I'm going, hopefully I'm not running ahead too quickly here. As I'm going, anybody want to chime in? Anything they've seen in the field that maybe can be improved, or better ways to communicate? Go ahead and put your 2 cents in, and I'd love to hear from some contractors too, if you guys have anything to say. There's a little. I'm sure everybody's aware. There's that little hand raise button. If you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand, and we can have a little dialogue too. But if not, I'll go on to the next slide here. So where to begin. You find out where you're going to be going. A lot of that planning starts from the day before. Um, Next thing there is arriving on site. So we park safely. We have to read and understand the ticket, obviously. Reading maps of utilities, we call these prints. That's what as far as the maps of the underground facilities, we just call them prints. Understanding that, and beginning to locate. So the most important part to all this is safety. Putting our cones out, make sure we're parked in a safe location. Read and understand the ticket scope. That understanding the ticket scope is probably, that's again one of the most important parts too, is knowing what you need as a contractor. Um, how big is the area that you need covered? How big is the ticket? Is it cover multiple addresses? Is it rear easement? This is something Luis and I were talking about here, when we discussed this before. Is does everybody, or as far as, I guess this would be for the locators here. Do you all know what a six pack is? Have you heard of that? And basically, uh, I mean, I think most people have kind of locating. It's the let's say I'm going to get into here on this next one, but we located six pack. Let's say the rear easement is basically all the addresses surrounding the locate address because anything that touches the address that you called in is going to get eyes on it to make sure nothing comes in conflict with the target address. So you call in 123 Main Street, I'm going to be looking at the surrounding addresses as well to make sure no services, no mains cross the path of that address too. So something to think about. Just reading and understanding the area, finding a proper locate or a hookup. I'm sorry. Um, Next slide here is locating in action. So we need to turn the first thing kind of we do is determining what are we locating. You know, are we locating gas, electric, phone? We find the best hookup and we start going. We hop in the backyard and start hooking up and sweeping. Um, I will say that the nearest hookup to you is may not be the best hookup. You may, as far as like for we do a lot of rural locating for Pioneer. There's a lot of projects going on right now, replacing old copper with fiber. We may find a transport fiber, which I'm sure. Does anybody, any of the locators, locate any telephone here? Doesn't look like it. Probably maybe gas. I'm guessing something else. So man, locating phone, you hook on these transport fibers, you can have 3 to 5 miles in between the hookup. So you may not have anything for a while before you actually find something that's going to give you a good signal to your target address. In town is a little bit different. Everything's pretty close together. We use what's called direct connect or conductive method for locating. It's kind of the best thing to use as far as getting something to locate. There's other forms for locating. There's a clamp, there's induction. We don't like to use those too much just because you're having to locate in a little bit of a higher frequency, more chance for bleed off, especially in congested areas. So we always try to opt in for direct connecting to the utility. And then, we do our sweep, trying to find where everything's going in the direction of stuff. Kind of going to the next slide here. So this is looking at this address. It's address 1113 Creekdale. So let's say that's the target address. And I got a question just for if anybody wants to chime in here. So if somebody calls in 1113 Creekdale Drive here, what addresses should I be concerned with marking? Do I need to mark anything else other than 1113? Does anybody want to chime in here? Or you can put it in the chat here. It looks like um Curtis here, the buffer that 8.1 uses, make sure you're reading the ticket well, the actual work, maybe outside of utility and waste, yeah, you waste time. So looks like someone to put here surrounding houses as well, 100%. So somebody calls in ticket 1113, just so you know what a locator is actually concerned about. This is what we call the six pack as far as here whenever we teach this in our training. So we got address 1117 Creekdale. We have 1106 Briar Creek Road. We have 1102 Briar Creek Road. We have 1020 Briar Creek Road. 1107 Creekdale, and then the target address 1113. So when we locate this house for, let's say they're doing a fence replacement, we're now having to locate all these other addresses just to confirm, and maybe we can confirm that all through one address. But man, I've found so many times I'm having to hop in other houses because my pedestal is in address two, So I'm having to drive out of the subdivision, circle back around, come back to Briar Creek and go to house two right here to hook up to the ped and then locate and make sure nothing crosses this fence line, and then having to cross back around to say, if you have you're locating gas and electric and phone, you're going to have to do that with each single utility. So these are things that really add to the time length of each ticket. And let's say I have 10 fence tickets that I'm going to have to do this in one day. Man, you're talking a lot more time added to your day that really adds to it. So it's something a lot of people don't think about whenever they're whenever I know when I came into locating, it's like I'm just going to locate 1113 and be done with the ticket. But turn around and you look at, okay, well, my pet is not in 1113, it's in 1106 Briar Creek. So now I'm having to go out and then go check out all these other houses. So something to think about. There's a lot more to it than just hooking up one house and moving on. So um, the type of ticket really can extend the length of time on these. So um, question, this is another question for the locators. If anybody wants to put this in the chat, what is the answer to this question here? Prints are A. Let's see if we get anybody to map. Yeah, okay, they are map. 100% they're a map. I'm looking for another word. Um, print. We say it in the locating world. Yes, it's a map. They're also. Uh, Let me give a little clue. Prints are they truth? 100%. Guide. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Prints are a guide. So 100% the prints, the maps of your area, they are just a guide. They're not to be used as, 100% truth. They are the only way you know for sure is to go out and verify everything. Yes, that is very true. So, and I'm sure the locators can attest to this. How many times have you showed up to a locate and I remember I had one where it called for the rear of property, and I pulled up prints, and I was on site, and I was locating the telephone, and this was back when I first started, and the entire rear easement was placed a half a block off. So I was standing at the address, and it said I had like 100 pair cable and all this other stuff running in the easement, and I was not finding any of the pads. Like nothing was matching up. Everything was placed a half a block off. And so that throws your whole, ticket off. You're like, what is going on? And so that's where you start looking up the peds and look at the ped numbers. Start looking at your map. What is the ped number here? What is the ped number here? And you start matching stuff, and then you finally realize, okay, this is a half a block off. So, you may pull up prints on a ticket before you get to it, and it tells you it's on one side of the road. You show up, and it's now on the other side of the road. So, it's our job as locators to show up and to verify. That's what we do is we go and verify and make sure that there's no that the prints are accurate. And for the most part, thankfully now, with what we have with Pioneer, we have pretty good prints. And they're fairly good, but at the same time, it's all about verifying. That's kind of that last step to making sure you're at the right area. Um, anybody anybody ever show up? This goes for contractors too. Anybody ever show up to a ticket and you're certain you're at the right address and you start locating and then come to find out you're a house over? Or is that just me? Am I the only one? I'm gonna just assume that I'm the only one then because I have showed up to an address and get to locating and then you're one house over. So always look at the house numbers and make sure you're at the right spot. So something to think about. Common challenges. So again, as yeah, people will make mistakes, and 811 has also made mistakes. I think we all make mistakes. We're all learning here. But yeah, I've definitely had some. I have pulled up to a ticket before. It's given me some GPS location. The rural roads are always difficult, especially if there's like correction roads in there. And I've had some in different counties, and I show up to that county to that ticket, and there's no work being done, and I start making calls, and come to find out they're in a different county over. So yeah, things the rural locating is a big challenge when it comes to directions. Some of those can be difficult to find the exact spot, especially if there's no address. It's not a 123 Main Street, but you know some weird county road 268, whatever the case is. So always something to make sure that you're at the right spot. But you can see here common challenges. Weather, that's a big factor right now. Um, I'd say weather is a big one right now because obviously you guys know what's going on with the ice and the snow we've had. Our company, as far as here in Oklahoma, we sat our locators for most of the day Friday and all day Monday. We didn't even locate, and yesterday was our first day out in the field. So that kind of stuff puts a damper, slows stuff down for the contractors as well. What we did, we saw, of course, we saw the forecast, last week and anticipating a pretty big snowstorm. So what we did is we located ahead of our tickets up until like, I mean, Tuesday tickets. We got so far ahead so that we wouldn't slow anybody down, contractors and whatnot, which most of them were also waiting on the snow too. So we didn't really put anybody behind, but um, that's something to factor too. If it's too dangerous out there, we set our guys down. We don't want anybody slipping around and crashing into something or putting other people in danger as well. So, uh, did any of you locators have to set down at all for any of the days? Maybe, maybe not. What about any contractors? You guys get slowed down on your work? We were, like I said, we were down for a good bit there, but thankful we're back up and going. So, um, just like I said, just some things to think about things that could add time to the ticket, congested utility easements, outdated facility maps. We usually try to get they send our updates out when they can. Looks like somebody put here, David, everyone is waiting till snow and clear ice. Yeah, so some people are still waiting. We do very minimum whenever we do get out, that's for sure. Whenever it's right now, we just kind of do stuff that's on cleared roads in town, that kind of stuff, and then everything else we have to push back sometimes. So, but yeah, the whole idea there is to be safe. So, kind of the forefront of everything we do there. Um, we talked about a little bit about mapping issues, just some types of common challenges. Um, as far as locating go, does anybody else have any other challenges you guys face out there that I'm not talking about here? Anything that we can all learn from the locator side there? So we got weather, time constraints, mapping, congested areas, project tickets. People don't think about what kind of time constraints go into project tickets. When Pioneer and anybody else, AT&T, whoever does these big fiber overlays, I mean, they're huge. We have 50 to 100-mile projects that come into play that we're having to locate for. And so when you look at something like that, it's a multiple team, multiple obviously weeks and weeks, months of locating that we're having to do every time they call in, 20 to 50 tickets at a time. So um, all that stuff takes away from other areas. We put all our resources to those when that does happen. And so we have, as anybody else who locates these massive projects that go on. And I'm not sure if we have any fiber installers here. You guys know that more than anybody, but there's some pretty big tickets that we pull other resources from other areas just to knock those tickets out and get them going. And that may delay some other areas, but we try to provide enough help for everybody. So um, it's another reason why we slow down whenever the weather does get bad. Um, we probably expecting some muddy roads as the temperatures rise. I think we're supposed to get up to, I don't know, 40 to 50 degrees this week in some spots. And so as that weather warms up, keep in mind that the snow's going to start melting, ice is going to start melting, and then also as the snow melts and we drop the temperature, I think is what we're going to do this weekend as well. Things will start freezing up again. So be careful on the road. Something we always talk about is Murphy's Law. Um, Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and trust me, you will come across that. So, from road closures to icy conditions, power outages, all that kind of stuff kind of plays into effect there. One of our last slides here, coming kind of nearing the end here, is communication is key. Did I come across any issues locating? Does the contractor know about all the issues? any special notes on the ticket for me that I need to be aware of. So the more people that have this information, the better. The better the informed decision. Some tickets locate real bad. They just locate terrible, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if the contractor's aware of the issue, the utility company is aware, that's where we can prevent damages and prevent any type of outages. So access issues is another big one. As a contractor, I think something to think about is this is, and I don't come across this too often, but if we have locked gates, because sometimes we come across an address who they're doing a fence for, or sewer or water, whatever the case is, and there's locked gates, nobody's home. It just puts a delay on your ticket, you know. So putting a special note on the ticket, you can put the homeowner's phone number with their permission and saying, "Hey, coordinate a time due to locked gates and animals in the backyard." Just something to think about. It kind of helps us be able to schedule that ticket in a lot better and get stuff done more efficiently. Um, what is there anybody have any other input on that? That would be good to know between the locator and contractor side. Anybody want to put anything in the chat there, or any information that's pertinent between the locator to the contractor or vice versa? If anybody has anything. If not, we'll go on to the next point here is our last slide. We'll wrap stuff up. Why locating matters. I mean, uh, strong relationships between the contractor and locator keep things flowing smoothly when issues arise. You know, it takes patience, attention to detail, and problem solving to be a good locator, I think, and safety always at the forefront there. So, you know, we know locating protects life, property, and infrastructure. I mean, I think we're all on the same team with that in mind. You know, contractors don't want to hit anything, locators don't want them to hit anything, and so the utility companies definitely don't want to have any outages either. So that's why we do what we do, and why we work with everybody to try to make sure everything gets marked on time and marked right. I mean, that's a big key. Sometimes it's hard to market accurately if the infrastructure just doesn't locate. So those are all things to think about. You know, preventing costly damages and service outages, and keeping things moving safely and efficiently there. So that's all I have for that. Just a little intro into locating, a little bit behind the scenes. Luis, I'll kind of turn it over to you if you have anything you want to add, or any takeaways or anything.
No, I mean, it was great presentation. I keep learning a lot too about how locating works, and understanding the other side of the whole 811 process is very important. I really appreciate all the time, Noel. It was really very important information, very informative. I want to let all of our attendees know that we will have another session on this Excavation Safety Day, Virtual Safety Day, at 1 p.m. Ambulance or Safety will present excavation and trenching safety. We can provide that in the chat as well, the link for that. And at 3, that will last from 1 to 3. And then at 3 o'clock, confined spaces, also presented by Ambulance for Safety. I am going to take over, Noel, just to share my screen for the drawing
Yeah.
of a $25 gift card.
Oh, Luis,
Yes.
before, I did not see this question from Haley.
Okay.
Um, can I answer this real quick?
No, no, yeah, go ahead. No, no.
So
Still
I
have
kind of
time.
glossed
Yeah.
over this. I didn't see this thing. So Haley said, from your perspective, what makes a good ticket versus a difficult one? I mean, um, I think a good ticket is any ticket that easily locates from one end to the next, whether that be a large ticket. I mean, you can have real big tickets that just, you hook up and it's just your hookup's right there and it just locates beautifully. All your utilities are working good. That's a good ticket to me. A difficult one, I could have the easiest locate, open easement, no fences, just a couple utilities, and I hook up and it's just my tone is dead. For instance, let's say you're locating gas in the back and the rear and locating
Link
plastic
on
poly
Facebook.
line. and
on that
there's
post with the links.
no tracer wire or something, no way to
From that.
locate it. You just went from a good ticket to a difficult one. So little things like that, can throw a
Yeah.
wrench in your plans and turn
If
an
you go to
easy
a
ticket
Facebook
into a
post,
difficult one.
there's a links.
But Luis, I'll open it back up to you, Haley. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, if there's any more questions, feel free. I mean, any doubts that you guys may have on the process, feel free to ask Noel. He's gonna be part of this new role with us in the next upcoming safety days in person, and we'll have Noel with us in some of those counties and cities from April through September, I believe. Noel,
I believe so, yeah.
if you can leave feedback on this QR code as well for the presentation so far about the virtual day. You guys just joined for this one. Let us know things that we can improve. This is all part of the virtual day from OKA 11, trying to provide you as much information as possible, not only from us, but from our partners and members, as it is a great hug. And after this will be industry safety, but please provide us with feedback as well. We really appreciate it. Give you about a couple of minutes, and then we'll finish the full presentation.
And I'm not sure if Luis said that this is Haley Manning, Education and Outreach Manager at OKA11. Put on that feedback form. If you submit feedback on our sessions today, you will be entered into a drawing at the end of the month for another $25 Amazon gift card. And winners will be notified by email.
And I keep forgetting, Haley. Thank you so much. Appreciate the reminder. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to have like a little note on my table here to remember that because I keep forgetting. Yes, if you guys scan the QR code, we'll also be entering to a new drawing for the end of the month. Right, $25 gift card. And multiple $25 gift cards that you can win, not only by attending to the virtual safety day, but also through the feedback.